Dr. Tim, welcome.
Thank you. Sorry I was late.
Oh, you're good, man.
Very bad.
Uh, I appreciate you being on. So, real quickly, everyone, this is Dr. Tim Steflik, and so he's just a little bit of a background. Gosh, Tim is he's got five practices now, going on
We have
six, or
five
is it?
opening number six in December 1st. It's like 2 weeks.
Yeah, amazing. So
Yeah.
five going on six. We have a running joke around the Business Academy that he's got one practice for every kid that he has. So you're telling me that you're going for your sixth kid right now?
No. Kids are done.
So, so
I'd
one
say,
one of your kids is going to get two practices. All right. So
kid, yeah.
it's been a running joke for a long time, but Dr. Tim's been very successful. Is also the president-elect of the Florida Chiropractic Association, and so he stays really busy. The interesting thing is, Tim, in conversations I've had with you in the past, um, it seems like you work less now than you did prior to the Business Academy, but we can get into that in a little bit. But if you could, Tim, maybe take us back. What did life look like right before you reached out to the Business Academy? Was that 12, 14 years ago?
Yeah. I think it was 2012. So whatever that is, maybe 13, split the difference.
13? Yeah.
Um, and yeah, one little practice, been in practice about a year. We were seeing 80 to 100 visits a week. But at 80 to 100 visits a week, you make enough money to get by and to pay your bills and to take care of yourself. But you're sacrificing one or the other, time or money. And so, if I wanted to make more money, I could take time off. If I wanted to take time off, I couldn't make money either way, right? So if I wanted more money, then I had to work more. So I really needed systems or something put in place to where I could take time off. I wanted more time off. I wanted time with my family. So that was the eye opener for me. Was I had a 1 year old at the time, and I was working hard to provide for him. Fresh out of school, got to pay back student loans, but I would work where I wouldn't see him wake up in the morning, and then I wouldn't see him go to bed at night, and it was like a lost day. And to me, that was like a complete waste because family is really important. So um, yeah, I that was my moment of said I need to do something to change. And yeah, that's where it all started with Business Academy. They got me started with the program. I paid more for the program than they charge for it now, and it was worth it. So just telling you that up front. They should
Yeah,
probably charge
that's
more.
funny. I paid
But
more for it back then too, and
yeah.
I started in 2004, and it was more than it is now. But I remember you telling me that story before regarding you had this moment you realized you're leaving before your son woke up, and then you'd come home and he'd be asleep and kind of missing out on that time with your son. How did you get introduced to the Business Academy? How did you hear about the Business Academy, and I guess what prompted you to jump on board with them?
So I believe it was an internet search, when I was like, I need to find a coaching company. And so I set up a few coaching or a few calls with some different companies. And my discovery call was basically running through the different divisions in my practice and what hats I was wearing. And I realized I was wearing, seven out of the seven hats. I was doing all the marketing. I was involved in the front desk. I was involved in the billing. I was involved in the treatment division. I was involved in quality control division. I was involved in case management, hiring, firing. I was doing everything. And so that's why I didn't have any time. My attention units were on everything. And then once you start to say, I need more marketing, well, you put more attention on that, and then something else starts to drop. And so it was a constant juggle. And so that for me was the biggest eye opener of say, well, okay, if I want to get more time off, I've got to run it like a real company, increase the revenue, but also, you know, it's not just delegate. Everyone says, oh, you got to learn to delegate, right? You can delegate, but you've got to train, you've got to have systems, you got to have SOPs, something for them to follow. You can't just say, go do this work, go be a good front desk person.
Yeah.
You have to have a system in place for them. So that's how I got started. And within a couple months, I'd say within a month, noticed some huge differences, huge upticks in stats. I was like, wow, this is not that difficult if you just do it. And yeah, onward and upward from there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I guess before you took on that phone call, with the business academy and you looked at that organizing chart with the seven divisions, what was your perception of what the biggest problem was, and what was creating the bottlenecks for you in your practice? I mean, we all knew that you work 12-hour days, 14-hour days, but like, what were you running into prior to putting systems in organization?
Yeah, so the disorganization, but it was just, to me, it felt like lack of time, right? So,
Mhm.
okay, if I need more new patients. Well, how do I get new patients? I don't know. No one
Mhm.
ever taught me how to market. No one taught me how to do a report of findings and get people on care plans. I just learned from doing, which was, you can't really learn from yourself. You just kind of figure things out. And so yeah, I mean, things chugged along okay, but I had these misconceptions in my mind of what marketing should be and what sales should be and what treatment. They teach you that. They teach you Division 4 in school, but that felt like that was about it. So um, yeah, if I tried to do marketing, I didn't really know what to do. I knew I should do it, just how, I don't know. So yeah, there was a lot of learning.
Yeah. It reminds me of that saying, learning through experience is expensive, rather than,
Yeah.
you know, uh, finding someone who's already done it. Model and mimicking, right, gets you further faster. But yeah, you've done so well. I mean, in our group, we have a mastermind group at the Business Academy. Um, you along with several other people who are doing really well in multiple offices. You're always giving back and you're always helping people out. So number one, thank you for coming on today because we've got quite a few people on here who are wanting to hear your story and what you've done to expand and grow. And you're opening now your sixth practice. I guess you've already touched on it a little bit, but how did you go from overwhelmed to expanding statewide? I mean, you're literally, like I heard through the grapevine, you're getting your pilot's license right now, and so you can
Yeah.
fly from one practice to another easily. And that reminds me, for those of you who do not, if you remember Jim Parker, Parker University in Texas, Jim Parker had 18 practices in Texas, and he used to fly from one office to the next, 40, 50 years ago. It could have been 60 years ago now, but it's interesting. I heard that. So congratulations, number one, on having that. But how did you go from being overwhelmed to just expanding throughout Florida here?
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed because I had to delay my flight lesson today. That's where I'm at. I'm at the airport. So those are all
That's
the
funny.
all the planes out there, and I'm sitting out here waiting to finish this webinar so I can get back in the plane and get my training done. But yeah, yeah. So from going from overwhelmed to, I mean, there's so many steps of what it is, but it's piece by piece, right? So it was,
Hmm.
we start with this division. Let's get a marketer hired, put somebody in place there, and so then the coaching, they walked me through everything of how to hire a marketer. Here's the systems, and there's so much uh, material and content available. But teaching you to be, the boss, teaching you to be the executive, um, how to manage other people. That was something I'd never done before either. Was how do you hire somebody? I don't, I, you know, I've never hired anybody before. How do I conduct an interview? Most of you by this point have probably done some hiring and some firing, but what's a better system for it? And so, yeah, now it's like, okay, well, I've got two or three positions open and it doesn't freak me out. It's like, okay, we're gonna hire these people, we're gonna cover here, here's what we're gonna do. And then getting some managers raised up and getting them to manage the practice for me while I'm out as well too. So yeah, a lot of training, a lot of training. I figured I was gonna put in
Yeah.
the time then or I was gonna put in the time later.
Yeah, exactly. You talk about the tools, TBA, the Business Academy tools and teachings. What were the top few trainings that you did early on that made the biggest difference when you first jumped in with the Business Academy? I know there's a lot, so it's just kind of
Yeah.
like maybe just helping everyone out here. What your route was and what you took that made the biggest dent for you.
So the biggest one for me for sure was the report of findings course because I wasn't doing anything good before that. And I was,
Mhm.
baffled that people would pay for care up front, willingly, happily. Like they were more happy to pay up front than they were paying per visit. And
Yeah,
I thought I was doing them a service by making them pay per visit. I'm like, oh, you can just pay next time, just pay next time, just schedule next time. And they were so much happier to pay up front and to pay, schedule out. I was surprised, but with the right report of findings and where it doesn't feel like a sale to them, it doesn't feel like a sale to you. So that was huge and eye opening for me, and really moved us along quickly. Um, but then some of the management basics courses as well too. So and they have putting my staff through those. So if I can do it, somebody else can do it, and getting our sales team in place, getting our marketing team in place, getting them through those courses. That's as important as me going through the course because now I don't have to do it. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That was an eye opener for me a few years ago, and I realized that the providers such as yourself who are uh, really expanding and opening up multiple practices, really one key thing that I see all of them doing is number one, they make fast decisions. And secondly, is that they have a manager, someone who's like would be considered an office manager that is trained in the same systems that you're trained in. And so all of a sudden you have like a right hand person who's doing a lot of the day to day stuff that you would be doing. They're taking that off of your plate. Who's that one? Who's that person for you in your organization?
Well, I've got her name is Renee, and
Hmm.
she goes to all the offices. We've got a system for her where she'll give me a report whenever she goes, and she's got a checklist that she goes through. Are they doing their morning meetings or the morning huddles? Are they doing their callbacks? Are they doing what's the appearance of the office? Is it cluttered? Is it? And she goes down her entire checklist and sends me a report. So instead of me going in and inspecting each office, she does it for me. And obviously, she has to do a good job. She's very key because if she's getting a false report or something back, that would be a problem. But it goes great. So then when I show up, I already kind of know if there's things I need to handle or things I need to take care of. And yeah, yeah, it's phenomenal. And if she's going to retire probably in the next couple of years, we're trying to raise up the next person to take her place and prepare for that. So, and the staff, they want to do that. They want to help each other, and they don't want to, they like you, right? So they like me anyway, enough to where they want to make sure that they, um, raise the next person up, right? So
Yeah,
they take care of themselves.
yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I just remember really having that cognition that wow, training managers is key to expansion. Without a good management team, whether it's an admin manager or a production manager or an executive director, it's a missing piece for a lot of people. It was for me for many years, which halted me from expanding and growing because I was doing everything. To your point, I was in every single division in the organization doing everything. There was times I was answering the phone. There was times that I was out marketing. That I'd be doing case management. I'd be doing report of findings with the patient. And it's hard to scale when you're putting out fires everywhere. That's what it felt like for me, at least. I was putting fires out all the time. I would always be putting my attention on what was broken or what wasn't what wasn't working well. But I had the same cognition as far as training. We spent a lot of time training to actually get to a point where we had a staff driven practice, not a personality driven practice. So, you know, um, you're running multiple practices. You got 5 kids. You're becoming the president-elect of FCA. You're sitting at the airport. I mean, I think you're going to say the same thing that you've already said, but like, how do you create the balance? Because I feel like it's just you've already addressed this to some degree, but it almost seems like you have more freedom now with more practices than you did, 13 years ago.
Way more freedom, that's for sure, right? So, yeah, it's great to be on vacation and just get, I still like to know what's going on, so I'll get a daily update email with all the stats. I just look at the email, and I'm not going to ever really do anything about it unless there was something serious. But even then, my staff knows not to bother me, and they say, "Well, I think they know that they should work harder when I'm on vacation, which is nice because they want me to enjoy my vacation. And they know if I see the stats are down, then I might be concerned. So yeah, I don't. I think you can have both, right? You don't have to have just a busy, successful practice and or a more time off. And that's I think the biggest realization for me is I can coach all my kids in soccer. I can be at this. I think I traded my being the executive or being the chiropractor for being a taxi driver for my kids. Sometimes I just feel like now that my wife knows I'm more available in the afternoon, say, hey, can you pick this one up at gymnastics and drop this one off at soccer? And, but I honestly, I would love doing that because I get to spend time with my kids and I get to be at their
Yeah.
practices and pick them up and drop them off. And if I didn't, I'd tell my wife I have to go back to work. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That's so funny. It's interesting with just your journey in general and looking at what you've done. I say, out of everyone I know, every time I see you on Facebook, you're on vacation somewhere. And
yeah.
you really you're an inspiration from the standpoint that, I mean, you're doing things in a way I wish I would have done. When I was in my first 10 years. My first 10 years, I struggled, and I didn't really start to expand until year 11 or 12, when I actually joined the business academy. But just real quickly for everyone who's on here, if you'd like to have the exact same phone call that Dr. Steflik had 13 years ago with Quentin, it's a strategic planning for. It's a free practice analysis, but basically it's a strategic 2 hour time frame where you can sit down and go over what you're currently doing in your office, uh, what systems are you operating on, and it's an eye-opening experience to where you can really look at, like, what do you need to do next to move the needle. And I encourage you to click that link in the chat box and you can schedule that strategic planning session. um, so real quickly, Tim, like, what advice do you have for the docs on this webinar right now who feel overwhelmed and stuck?
Well, I still feel overwhelmed sometimes. Um, like opening a new practice, I actually bought the property sight unseen, just some video tours. I was like, well, we need a property, so let's buy it, right? And good square footage, decent location, at least I thought. And so then I get out there to the property, and there's like homeless people sitting outside. There's trash all over the ground. I'm like, this building's in rough shape. The flooring in the picture looked amazing, and then when I got in there, the tiles were one was like half an inch higher up than the other, so there, a lot of stuff. I was like, oh crap, we got some work to do. So in those moments, whether it's, hey, this key employee just quit on me, it actually happened. I think the next day, I had one of my chiropractors. We've all got stories, right? We've all got crazy
Yeah.
stories of someone who lied or stole or whatever. So I had a key chiropractor quit on me. Said he didn't quit. He wanted me to fire him, but anyway, that happened like the next day. I was like, okay, I got a lot going on right now. But the best thing is that the quote I like is action alleviates anxiety, triple A, right? So start taking action. And once you start taking action, those the anxiety starts to go away, or the nervousness or the overwhelm. The overwhelm goes down immediately. Like if I'm ever feeling that way, I just make a list and I start knocking stuff off. And I
Yeah.
immediately feel so much better. And it's not just the list, but it's also some other, maybe there's a bigger system or something that might need to be put into place. And say, okay, what do I need to do? Chiropractor quits. First thing I'm going to do instead of worry about is I'm going to post an ad, right? Like that's something I can do in the next 5 minutes. Get an ad running, and then I'm going to boost it. I'm going to pay a bunch of money to make sure we get somebody in there quick. But take action. Do something to fix the problem. Otherwise, you just sit there and feel overwhelmed.
Yep. Okay, so that acronym, action alleviates anxiety. Am I putting Tim Steflik's name next to that, or where did you hear that
So,
first?
Alex Hormozy. Yeah.
Alex Hormozy?
Wish I had it myself, but it's one of his that I love.
Yeah, that's actually really good. You've heard of the production's the basis of morale before, so it's
Yeah.
get producing. So yeah, but that's really good. I like that. Um, we've talked about this before too. It doesn't matter if you're seeing 100 visits a week or 1,000 visits a week, you're going to have problems. You guys just get to choose the problems that you're going to have. You know, um, I think when I first started off, I was choosing problems of like, can I pay my rent? Can I pay my staff? Can I do, it was more of a lacking versus when you become more abundant and you're seeing a lot more patients or you have a bigger practice or you have multiple practices, you still have problems. They're just different, right? In a little bit different magnitude, but the problems will never go away. They're always going to be there, to your point, Dr. Tim. Um, so just a little bit on chiropractic in the future. Now, as the upcoming FCA president, what's your vision for the future of chiropractic in Florida?
Florida's a great state to be a chiropractor. I don't know how many of you, I know a couple of you I recognize are in Florida, but sorry, there's a loud airplane taking off behind me. Probably should have muted myself for that one. Sorry. I was like an old warbird plane or something there. But
Wow.
so yeah, the future's great for chiropractic for those that know what they're doing. And I had a conversation yesterday with another chiropractor in town, and they maybe the airport wasn't the best spot to keep this conversation, but he he's been in practice for 3 or 4 years, and she's just across the street. She actually applied to one of the positions we have open because she's going to have to close, and um, I felt really bad. I wanted to maybe even hire her, but if she had the right systems, the right things in place, she could still stay open. I'm confident of that. Confident there's lots she could do. I might go inside if this. I don't know how loud it is to you guys, but I think he's doing.
I
Can
can hear you. I can
you hear
hear
me
you
okay?
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
He comes into land. I might move a little bit, but yeah, the future is. I mean, there's a lot of good changes happening. I don't know other state associations, but Florida is very, very strong. And we have a strong presence in Tallahassee, the nation, our state capital for lobbying. And there's always new bills that are being introduced. There's one that we're trying to help with some injectable vitamins in Florida that's coming up. So yeah, uh,
That's great. Yeah. So what would you say based on your experience and being involved with the state association? Um, you kind of have your the pulse of the profession right now, and you're in a lot of these backroom meetings and whatnot. But what do you see as the biggest opportunities for chiropractors over the next 5 years?
um, yeah. So the struggles. There's always the insurance struggles that people have. So I see the biggest opportunities is the niches and cash self-pay services because there's a lot of opportunities out there for, there's programs for adjusting extremities or jaws or feet and neuropathy. And we in chiropractors we can do all those things, right? So it's a lot of opportunity in those areas. Someone who's going to just kind of you know, do 5 visits because that's all the ASH allows them to do, and then complain about the insurance, and then complain about how bad things are. Well, I wasn't in practice 25 years ago, or during the Mercedes 80s, as they called it. Where you could just sign a. I don't even know how it worked, but I hear about it. Send them the bill and they'd pay for it, right? So, um, yeah, there's so much opportunity. Depends on what you want to do. You want to get medically integrated. Do you want to we're doing a new program for federal workers comp. If you're around the country, there's huge opportunity for that in different cities, large cities across the U.S. That's what's prompted us to open up our other locations in Jacksonville and Tallahassee. So we have a wide scope, and there's just a ton of opportunities. But it's not going to work if you're just living month to month, visit to visit. Ash plan to ash plan.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I remember when I When I first started in practice, I was 80% insurance, 20% cash. And then when I sold my practices a couple of years ago, I was 20% insurance and 80% cash. Or, I used to be all insurance, now I was all cash. So learning how to communicate with patients and find out what they value and be able to collect cash from the patient was a game changer for me. And it's actually what helped me get through in COVID. My main office was in downtown Denver, and if I didn't have the ability to ask for cash, I would have went under, just because of some of the things going on during that time. But I see some questions coming in. I'm going to get to you guys in just a second. I have just a couple more questions for Dr. Tim, and then we're going to open it up for questions for you guys. Um, I Tim, just another one or two questions. But if a chiropractor or someone on here asks you, why should I join the Business Academy? What would you tell them?
I would probably ask them what their goals are, right? What do you want to achieve? What are you hoping for? Um, because it's not a one size fits all, right? It's everyone is so unique. It's like a patient that comes in and say, "Hey, why should I go see a chiropractor?" Well, what do you have going on? Do you have back pain, sciatica? Well, there's a fix for that. Do you have neck pain, headaches? Treatment might be slightly different for that. Knee pain, different treatments for that. So, why would you join the Business Academy? It depends. Do you want better marketing? Well, there's something for that. Do you want better closes? Do you want more cash closes? Do you want more money? Do you want more time off? What's your problem? And they can help you find a solution for it. So I don't really see an area where they can't help you. And I think that's probably very important, right? So whenever
Yeah.
I've needed something, it's usually the first place I turn to. Maybe if there's something like legal contracts or advice, they can point you to an attorney, which you might need help with. But for the most part, as far as it relates to your practice, depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, that's just so for those of you who do not know, the Business Academy basically has training for virtually every area of your office, whether it's marketing, improving your report of findings process, hiring an associate, quality control systems, front desk systems. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So I'm going to go to some questions here while we have Dr. Steflik on here. Uh, Cherry, you asked, what if you don't have a practice? You can unmute yourself and maybe clarify that just a little bit. What if you don't have a practice? I don't know the context of your question.
I had to step away from practicing
Hmm.
first for, personal reasons and family situation. And so now that's resolved and I'm still licensed. So it's time to make some new choices. But
Hmm.
I haven't practiced really since 2012.
Got it. So my question to you would be, are you wanting to start a practice or would you rather, be an associate and work in a practice?
Um, Truthfully, I'm very fascinated by the business aspect of
Hmm.
practice. I don't necessarily want to be adjusting,
Yeah.
but I have
So I can,
a lot of experience doing all types of external and internal marketing programs.
mhm,
And I really loved educating people about how they could empower themselves with their health, or
mhm.
their health could be empowered by their choices.
Yeah. One of the things that the Business Academy teaches, Cherry, is that uh, when you are in a business, you really are three people in one when you start a business, right? You're the dreamer, the founder, you're also the manager or executive, and you're also the technician treating patients. The great thing with the Business Academy is you get to choose who you want to be. You can we have many people in the Business Academy who are really the founders and dreamers, like Tim. Tim's more of a founder dreamer now. He's no longer in the trenches treating patients, and he's not managing it either in the day-to-day operation. Um, and we have some people who love to treat patients, and that's all they want to do, but they want help with training their managers, so they don't have to do more. They don't have to do a lot of that management stuff. And then we have some people who want to be managing, but they don't want to be treating patients anymore. So my recommendation for you would be to get on a call with Quentin and just lay out your dream of what you'd like to do. Because one of the biggest things one of the things that Tim did that I'm really envious of, he found the business academy shortly after starting practice. Like, Tim, were you like what, 1 year in, 2 years in?
Yeah, 1 year.
1 year. I tell people now, I wish I would have joined it when I was a student. Like, if your dream is to start and operate your own practice, the sooner you learn how to be a business, the more success you're going to find. And it's kind of like um, it's finding that mentor of how to go about doing things early on. And it took me 10 years to do what Tim did in one, and that was just find the right group. And I would definitely hit that link and schedule a call with Quentin to navigate that a little bit, because you have a lot of options. You have a very powerful license, and there's a lot you can do with it. And but you get to choose that game, right? So I'm gonna move on to Robert. Tim, Robert wanted to know, what EHR does the Business Academy recommend? Well, I'm going to go off what do you use, Tim? What EHR system do you use?
We use one called Dr. Chrono, and we like it because it's medically, you can use medical very easily with it. We actually use two because our federal injury stuff, we use Quick EMR, and Quick EMR is actually really good too. I wish I could probably switch them all over to that one, but I mean, there's so many different EHRs, EMRs out there that, I don't know that there's a right one. It's more what's best for your practice.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, because there's depends on your practice model. Are you chiropractic only? Are you medically integrated? Do you do regenerative medicine, functional medicine? Are you cash insurance? There's a lot of variables there. Yeah, that comes up to the next question from Robert. Are you cash insurance mix? If a mix, what does your patient base look like? Therapies offered, etc.
Yeah, we're a mix of everything. So we offer a lot of therapies, from decompression, cold laser, shockwave, ultrasound, e-stim, knee traction, and then the medical services are PRP and stem cells and trigger points and HA injections and DME for bracing, and HRT, hormones, peptides, weight loss, just kind of a little bit of everything. And so we're a mix of, in the neuropathy programs, mix of cash, insurance. The reason we take insurance is not to make money. It's because people want to use their insurance. So it's a lot easier just to say you take their insurance, and then they come in and you say, well, your insurance sucks, but does your insurance company care more about you or their profits? And then they kind of start to think about it. And so we just take insurance because it keeps people coming in the door for the initial visit, but we don't really count on insurance to actually make us much money. Personal injury, that too, that pays well, and the federal workers' comp, that pays well. So there are some insurances that still pay well.
Yeah. Yeah, for those of you on here, if you're, regardless of where you're located, but to Dr. Steflik's point, there is some opportunity with the federal injury centers. You can just contact myself or contact Tim or Quentin, and we can get you that information. There's no other questions in the chat box, but you guys can unmute yourself. Any other questions for Dr. Tim Steflik and just his journey and where he's at and what he's doing, or any questions for myself or Quentin? Fire away. Any questions? We did that good of a job.
Yeah.
Can I ask, what is the name of the Business Academy? Like, how could I look it up online and kind of see a website or something?
Yeah, it's just thebusinessacademy.com. Is it thebusinessacademy.com, Quentin, or yeah. We'll put a link in there for you in the chat box, Teresa, if you can put that in there. But I've been around for 25 years, have worked with thousands of practices. But definitely, guys, just click that link on scheduling with Quentin. It's time that you guys have to go over any questions you have about your practice. What stopping points do you have? What are you running into? Is it marketing? Usually it's one of three things that most people have stops on. One is getting new patients. Two is maybe conversion rates aren't great. And the third one is just, you know, this can be in any one of your divisions in your organization, but just lack of systems to scale. There's usually some form of a problem in hiring or front desk systems or, you know, marketing systems. There's usually something, to scale, you have to have standard operating procedures in, and you have to have your staff trained on those operating systems. And there's usually a break point there somewhere. But this is your opportunity to find out about it just by clicking that link and getting with Quentin to go over where you're at and where do you want to be. Like, what's your ideal scene versus what's your actual scene? Your ideal scene, like, this is what I want to create, and your actual scene, this is where I am. What's that gap? And that's what Quentin's going to review with you is, what's that gap look like, and how do you get from your actual scene to your ideal scene? So,
Great.
Any other questions?
You got one more question in there, Gary, from Robert. I think it's a question for Tim on what decompression system are you using?
Oh, I didn't see that.
So, the system, we use Chattanooga tables, and we've taken some different courses and classes on decompression about, when to use it and how to use it. Decompression is one of those therapies that seems like just about everybody could benefit from. So we have some different protocols on it. I think it's Kennedy is the one that has, see Victor. Hopefully he joins board. He's just a couple hours, maybe an hour south of me. He's a cool guy.
Oh, great.
Yeah, he's been up to my office before too. We've hung out a couple times. But decompression's it's great therapy. We get tables. You can find tables for under 10,000, and the thing I like about decompression is it doesn't call out sick. It doesn't try to fudge its hours. It's very reliable, and it pays better than hiring a massage therapist. So there's one office we don't offer massage, and it's because we put a decompression table in that room. I love it. So I'm not sure exactly what you mean by, like, if you want protocols and stuff. There's some different courses you can take, or but I love decompression. We couple it with a lot of other therapies together. It does really well.
And I guess to that point, I get to that point, and Robert, you can go ahead and ask, because Robert, I mean, as we've spoken, you're looking to open a practice, and you're looking either to buy one or to open one. One of the things that I've definitely noticed when working with clients is make sure that you don't get two different types of machines. If you've got a decompression machine, just stick with the same one, because otherwise people will favor one over the other in your office. And I'm not sure if you experienced that, Tim, but I know people have made that mistake.
Yeah, it's easier too if you got staff that are going between different offices and they know how to operate them. It's the same with all of them. So we've got, so out of the 5 practices currently open, we have 4 tables. Our workers' comp offices are different. We don't do decompression in those. So
okay, great, good. All right, any other questions? And you're all free to open up. And
I've got one for you, Dr. Tim.
Yeah.
Yes, my name's Dr. Brian Epp. I'm up here with the Pennsylvania Chiropractic Association, and I'm a fellow pilot, so I guess I was calling to see if you needed a co-pilot.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. You want to fly on up or fly on down? We ought to meet in the middle, huh?
Absolutely. Especially Florida this time of year. I'll be happy to come down and spend some time flying right with you.
It's so nice right now. Clear skies, slight breeze. It's probably 70 degrees outside. It's beautiful.
Tough digs, brother. I want to be where you are. That's all I can tell you.
Oh, come on! It's open invitation. Anyone can do it.
Absolutely. Well, again, Dr. Brian Epp. I'm with the PCA, so I'm sure we'll meet.
I'm sure. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, nice meeting you.
Awesome.
And Dr. Brian from the Business Academy, thanks for what you do on the association. And if certainly if you need anything or if you want our help, absolutely, we'd love to help you out there.
I definitely will take you up on that. I've done some management training in the past with Dean DePice and TLC, and certainly have much more of a practice style of Dr. Tim there, decompression, invested in laser,
Right.
have 2 offices, and I'm about to open a laser healing center here. So it's a good time for there to be a new heading and a new growth and a new direction.
Fantastic. Well, look, we can either talk if you've got time now after at the end of this, or you can go ahead, Teresa, put the link in there to schedule onto my calendar, and I'd love to talk with you and go over that, and then obviously to help you with what you do, but also if we can help the association. We just did a whole series of seminars to help the Florida Chiropractic Association, and Tim's been gracious enough to help us to get in there and help more and more docs that way as well. These are all things that we love to do from the Business Academy, just in strengthening the profession as that goes.
Definitely. And do I understand you're Colorado based? I practiced my first decade out in Vail, Colorado.
We're in Florida. So Dr. Gary had his offices in Colorado, which he sold. But no, we're in the Tampa Bay area.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah. So certainly so like I say, we could talk now, we could talk at another time, but I'd love to be able to help you, and I'd love to get the opportunity to also help your docs out there, and we might be able to come up to your association and contribute what we can there too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, needless to say, I'll make sure to schedule that appointment. As you can see, I'm deep in the weeds here.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yes, I do see your deep weeds.
but I sure do appreciate the invite to the conversation. And yet again, it brings that fact that, people seldom improve when they only look to themselves. So being a chiropractor that's been in it for 25 years, in the profession for 35 years, yep, I'm ready to take it to that next level like Dr. Tim is. So
Perfect. Looking forward to it.
thanks so much.
Yep, absolutely.
I'd like to say something.
Yes.
Okay, I really appreciate this opportunity because when I started out as a chiropractor, I always loved the money aspect of it, but I felt some pressure about altruism and not ever talking about that. And the I guess there's no coincidences because this weekend I went to the FCPA online event to do my continuing education hours because I live in Florida, but I am on my way to Philadelphia right now.
Wow.
So I wrote down your Dr. Brian,
Mhm.
and maybe maybe I'm very, very fascinated by photobiomodulation. So I'm very curious about laser.
Well, Sherry, I've got to tell you, I just literally got back from the Pennsylvania Chiropractic Association. We were in the King of Prussia area of Philadelphia, if you're familiar with it.
Oh, I'm not. I'm new. I've only been up. I'm here in New Jersey. I have some probate family things to take care of, so that's why I'm up here. So I don't. I haven't. I know no one practically as a chiropractor up here. So any.
I know everyone. How about that? To that point, I'm actually a Philly boy. And to that point, I'm actually even considering going to meet with a couple of the Berman boys. They've got Berman Laser out of Cherry Hill, New Jersey. So
Okay.
I'm coming into Philadelphia, as a matter of fact, just to have a meet and greet and have some lunch with them. I then fly out for the next week where I'll be in Scottsdale, Arizona. Definitely have a trip scheduled for Florida coming up. I've got several of my chiropractor buddies down there as well. So please give me a call. Feel free to take down my number at 717
Okay.
303 4722, and especially anywhere in that Philadelphia, New Jersey area. I guess I don't know how else to say it other than the fact I know everybody.
Wonderful. So that's 717. Is that 323-4722?
303.
303. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
All right. Any last questions? We got like just a minute or two here, and Dr. Tim is, I can tell he's chomping at the bit to get in that cockpit. So any last questions? Going once, going twice. All right, awesome. Hey, thanks for joining everyone. Quentin, you have a message?
Yeah, lastly, before you jump off, Dr. Farhad, I saw that the link's not working. If you want to if you want to stay on right after, Teresa could go ahead and put us into a breakout room, and we can talk now for whatever time that you have, and then we could also schedule a time there right now if that works for you.
Sounds good. I was actually I was just actually trying to schedule it on my phone because the link doesn't work on that, but I can stay on for what time is it? Yeah, I can stay on for half hour right after the thing.
Perfect.
I
Okay,
need
great.
perfect.
Great.
I don't need to
Good.
book.
And also just real quickly, we have our like main event coming up in December for those of you who are interested in doing what we call a discovery day at the December convention that we're doing here in Largo, Florida, just outside of Tampa. Quentin, what are those exact dates?
So it's December 11th through the 13th. That's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And that'll be Elevate Con. That'll be our convention. If you go to the Business Academy website on the homepage, we've got a whole description of what's happening, who a lot of the speakers are, and a lot of what we're doing there. You'll be able to meet a lot of our clients. You'll be able to get a lot of content. Many of our clients are bringing a number of their staff to the event as well. And it'll be just a great opportunity for you to see how do we expand these practices and how much how much will you get out of doing that. So just check that out on our website. But it's Elevate Con December 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Yep.
Yep.
All right,
I'll
guys.
be there, and I've got 4 or 5 staff that'll be there. So come say hi.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, Dr. Tim, thanks so much for joining us today and taking some time with us. We always appreciate, as always, we always appreciate all the time that you give us. And we look forward to seeing you in a few weeks. I'm sorry,
pleasure.
Tim? Yeah, thank you.
Said my pleasure. Yes, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, have a great rest of the day, and make sure that you hit that link or you give Teresa a call. We'll get you scheduled with Quentin. And I guarantee you it'd be a very well worth your time to make that call, 100%. So in any case, have a great day. We'll see you guys soon.